All right. The number of visitors of a certain website triples every month. And the number of visitors is modeled by the expression 8,100 times 3 raised to the m power. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Don't get intimidated by this. Where m is the number of months after the number of visitors is measured. So if we said, uh, let's say the number of months, here I'm going to write it as a table. Um, the number of months since we did this measurement of how many people, it's m is the number of months. And let's say I'm going to start down here at month 0. So we have 8,100 times 3 to the 0 power. And what's 3 to the 0 power? We know that anything to the 0 power is 1. So 3 to the 0 power is 1. So what is 8,100 times 1? 8,100. That makes sense. 0 months after we did the measurement, meaning the month we did the measurement. What did it measure? It measured the number that we measured. That was 8,100, right? Now, 1 month later, when you did the measurement again, it should have tripled. So we had 8,100 times 3 to the, what's the m value? Because this is right here. Let me write it up at the top. This is 8,100 times 3 to the m. And then this is the number of visitors that month. Okay, so, well, after 1 month, it should have tripled, and that makes sense because you're doing 8,100 times 3. 8,100 times 3 to the first power is 3. And so we need to triple that number. And just doing a little math on the side here, 8,100 times 3, because it's 0, 0, 3, 24,300. It has tripled. Okay, I'll erase that. And what happens after 2 months? Well, after 2 months, you see that m then is 2, and we've done 3 to the second power, means it's tripled, and then it's tripled again. That's like 8,100 times 3, and then times 3 again, because we're tripling it, what it was last time. So what do we get there? Well, this part, you should be able to hopefully see what we got from last time was that 2,400. Okay, I'm sorry, 24,300. So I'm going to do the math over here to calculate that. 24,300 times another 3. We get 9, 12 carry the 1, 72,900. Okay, and continuing on, say what would happen if you went 3 months into the future? Well, it would triple again. You would get 8,100 times 3 to the third, because m is 3, and that's what we're doing. We're putting the number of months up there. And so then we would get 8,100 times 3 times 3 times 3. That's what 3 to the third means. And you'll notice that, just like before, this is what you had the month before. That was that. So we're multiplying it by one more 3. So if I got that work out of there, I should have done that earlier. Get that work out of there. And then we do it one more time. $72,900. Triple it again, times another 3. 27, carry the 2. 2 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 7 times 1 is 21. And we get 218,000 visitors. Well, 218,700 visitors. Okay, well, we're actually going in the opposite direction up here. If they're saying, well, let's say what happened 1 month before we got there, or before we started measuring. You could say now m is -1. A month before. So you'd say that's 8100 times 3 to the negative 1, or 8100 times 3 to the negative 1 is 1 over 3. We're taking a third of 8100. And if we take a third of 8100, or another way of looking at that is you divide it by 3, you would get 2700. Okay? Going backwards even further, the same method, we could say, okay, well then what would it be if we, let's say we did it to the negative 2, we would do the same thing, over 3 to the negative 2, or 1/9. They're actually asking us for what happens when m is negative 4. So let's just follow that pattern. We would say 8100 times 3 to the negative 4, which is equal to 8100 times, what's 3 to the negative 4? Well, we've been studying this. This is just like 3 to the 4th, which is 81 on the bottom. And if we did 8100 times 1 over 81, or took 1/81st or of 8100, we would end up with 100. Okay, so evaluate it for m equals 4. We would get this as an answer. We'll box it out in something that you can see. This right here. And what does it mean? What does that represent? It means, and let me just shift this whole thing up a minute so I can write a little bit underneath it. It means that, I'll type it. It means that 4 months before the number of visitors was measured, there were 100 visitors a month to the website. Actually, I can't really fit it, so I'm going to scrunch it down a little better. My mistake. Sorry about this. Kind of meatballing it a little bit here. That's what I want to write. Okay. 4 months before the number of visitors was measured, at month 0, there were 100 visitors a month to the website. And that's because we said 4 months before it was negative 4. And negative 4, 3 to the negative 4 is 1 over 81, or divide the whole thing by 81. And when we do that, we get 100. Hopefully that makes sense.